condition that like we can like afford to add later on. So not enough how to
Yeah, chat, this is real. Unless you have I think I got sick last day. I was up for like 46 hours.
Oh, don't do that. Whatever you go, we'll probably be done in the next 10 years.
That's okay. Because I think being done and having to is like a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna have it.
Really just like, go sleep right now.
I will say it's a little. We might have a little. She's connecting.
I doubt it. I worked on that a lot.
I think it'll be fun.
I think it will be really easy. All you have to do is give me a poster first. Like have to use it poster first. And I can capture it and I can restore it and I run my algorithm and I'll run probably Flask in another file once you get by.
Yeah. I had like. I think it's all like cloud architecture is like a class. I just call it class server.
Yeah.
Client folder is like the actual.
There are a couple chairs in the front.
Server side and this is the full product.
One thing that I'm not really doing the way I do it, after I get the variables on the web page, I send it to another web page like changing the spot. I think the way you do that is you can have it.
Go for this.
Like, this is on sit there. And I don't know how to put that data back on. So I just send it to a new web page.
No, you're
But
good.
I don't think that's good.
Is that a new web page?
Yeah, into a new web. It's not the same. It's not the same web page. But like this is like into the values.
Is it refresh?
To refresh.
Yeah, see, that's just,
I think.
I think what we react to that. It's like basically like updates without like the actual form of big forces.
Maybe now I don't know how to grab it.
Lily, yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Richard. I'm from Modal. Really appreciate all of you guys coming in today to the workshop. Thanks to the Hack MIT team for letting me host one. I had a little bit of like discussion that I was just eavesdropping on. Sorry. Some people said Stable Diffusion. I had something about Flask apps, and I feel like these two dynamics are very important to hackathons. Like people want to use AI and they need to ship it fast, and people want to set up web apps so that they can show what they've built to people. And I think that the reason I'm kind of passionate enough to come out here and want to show you guys this is because Modal, I feel like, is the tool I always wanted for hackathons because it lets you do both of these two things really easily. So today I'm going to just like show you a mini example, and then it's going to have some Fast API, which is like a Flask alternative, and it's going to have some Stable Diffusion, and we can play around with how to change the code and what developing with Modal feels like. And the core of everything is Python. So as a prerequisite, I hope everyone has like a bit of familiarity with Python, and that's enough to like really enjoy this workshop and play around with stuff. If we have time at the end, I'll take like any kind of broader for fun questions like how would I do this, or do you think you guys could do this? Sound good? So, okay. So let's, oops, that was a sneak peek. So let's first look at deploying a web endpoint on Modal. Is this big enough? Can you guys see? Cool. So I'm just going to define an app which represents sort of what I'm going to ship to the web. What will be accessible on the web. And this stub.function just means, think about the context of this Python function as something that executes on demand on the cloud. And it will scale up seamlessly to hundreds of containers if you have hundreds of users. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this app. And if we go to the URL, which maps to this get function, you can see it printed hello world 1, 2, 3. But maybe that was the typo, so let's get rid of the numbers and deploy it again. And you can see how fast this development iteration speed is. In the time that it took me to explain it, we've already updated our website to be on a new version, which prints Scalable. So there's another feature that is pretty cool here called Modal Serve, which will even hot reload your code changes onto the go. Another interesting feature here is the ability to scale out. I was mentioning how just writing one Python function in Modal means that it can run thousands of Python functions without any scaling problems. So here is a very simple function which just prints the square of a number. And here we're going to map, f.map, over 10,000 calls to this function. So it's going to print all the squares between 0 and 10,000. And hopefully nothing crashes. And we can see that we're running 40 containers. You can imagine in your head, these are just containers running on AWS, Google Cloud. We spin up all these containers for you, 100 containers now. And it's just absolutely smashing through all of these inputs that we've given it. And you can kind of see how once you write a function that works on Modal, it can serve as many users as you want. Okay, this is just like the basic stuff, and it seems you probably have gotten sick of me talking. So let's look at something cool. Let's look at a Stable Diffusion app. So here, this app is actually very simple. It's just this index.html file. And let me show you what that looks like. This index.html file is really just a title, a prompt, and a submit button. And when you click the submit button, it'll kind of populate this image with whatever we want to generate. And while that loads, because it's spinning up the GPU in the background, I'll show you what the code looks like. So this is the code for the web app. It's kind of similar to what I was just showing you, right? There's a stub.function. This time we're going to use an ASCII app. So this is, this is where the Fast API thing, Flask, comes in. You can actually use Flask too. You can just replace Fast API with Flask. But we're going to build a Fast API app, which really just means in Python, I'm going to define a set of endpoints that I want to work on the web. So you're going to have a get endpoint, which accepts a prompt. And it's just going to return a response with the image. It's super simple. And then the other step is we're going to mount the index.html file. So when I go to this link in the browser, it's going to give me the index.html file. When I click submit, it's going to send a request to that get endpoint I just showed you. And the GPU in the background is going to run this generation. That was a lot. Any questions about that so far? Okay, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, but you don't want to ask me. But I was hoping that we could do something fun and just like kind of see what we can do to tune this model. So does anyone have any ideas? Like maybe we can make it only generate portraits or something. How does that sound? Okay, so anyone have like an interesting prompt that we can use, except it's kind of ambiguous if it's a portrait or not. Yeah?
Do something related to Elon Musk.
Okay, so like Elon Musk wearing a dress. And I'm hoping that this generation is going to be not that good in the sense that it's a faraway picture. But we're going to try to tune the model so that it avoids generating faraway pictures. And instead a close-up portrait. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the negative prompt that I've configured in my endpoint. And I put in like 3 things which generate crappy images, and that might actually help you guys in the code right there if you're looking at really bad images. But instead of this, I'm going to kind of change it into, like, I don't want landscapes, and I don't want full body shots. And we're going to redeploy it. And now the GPU is going to restart the model with these new parameters. And hopefully, this might take a while, so we're going to have to look at Elon Musk wearing a dress for filming. But this is like the kind of workflow that we're thinking about. It's kind of like you can edit the Python, deploy your model changes, and it all is visible in the browser immediately. So that's why I think it's like the best hackathon project tool, because it's like you're working with your team, you need to get this change out fast. You don't have time for someone to be figuring out how to deploy web apps, someone to be figuring out how to deploy Python files. Okay, I guess it didn't really work, but that is just life with AI. That's basically all the prepared content I have. We can kind of go in a direction of any questions. And yeah, is anyone curious about anything? Like, what can I do on Modal? Yeah?
Yeah, so how much compute is offering to hackers in this one?
We're giving $500 in compute credits. And I'll give you guys the QR code later. But the most important thing is you need to sign up for Modal before I can give you the credits. So if you go to modal.com and sign up with GitHub, and then fill out the form for the credits, you guys all get $500 to run whatever you want. Yeah.
How much customization is there for the website? Like, do you customize with HTML and JavaScript, or?
Yeah, so it's a very general platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason anything looks like it right now is because I wrote this HTML file.
Gotcha.
But if I want to not use HTML, if I want to use React, all I would have to do is just set up my React into this front-end folder. And we have examples which set up the React app instead. So this is using Alpine.js, actually. And it just works because it's one file. But if normally you guys are comfortable with building React apps, all you have to do is just put that app into the front-end folder, and it's being served as a React app instead. It's like, I would think about this platform not as constricting what you can or can't do. It's really streamlining what you would be doing anyway. So like most stuff you can just get done. Yeah.
Could you possibly make a little bit sprouts, which
Yeah, for sure.
which renders the pages into like HTML, static HTML, CSS.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure if it's gonna work with server-side rendering, but you would be able to get Svelte working without server-side rendering. The part that runs on the client is gonna run correctly. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, since there aren't a lot more questions, I can also go into some stuff you guys might run into if you were to try using Modal for yourself. So a lot of the times, people run into issues with not having packages installed. Who's like opened up a GitHub repo and is like, oh, this looks sick, I want to run this. And then it takes like 5 or 6 hours to set your laptop up to freaking run the repo. Anyone? Because I've spent hours doing that. So the point with Modal is that, one, if your stuff is written in Modal, I can send it to my friend, I can send it to Lily right now, and she can run it on her laptop, no problem, because everything is transported in the Python code. And the second thing is, once you do that painstaking process of getting someone else's code to run on Modal, now it's going to run for everybody correctly. And there is no like install Docker and figure out Docker. It's like there's none of that stuff. And the reason for that is you can code an image into your functions. So here I can literally pip install anything I want. Let's pip install sci-fi maybe. And if I add this to my image decorator, I'm going to be able to import SciPy as soon as, actually first, let's try without the image, and then you guys will see, when I search the app, and I go to this link, it's going to have a subnet error. And if we look in the logs, no module named SciPy. But instead, if I populate the image, and I'm using the serve functionality here, where it hot reloads my code. So as soon as I save this file, it's redeploying it. And you can see it's building the image, and that will only ever happen once. And that's the reason when I run it and when my friend runs it, it always works, because that image is now saved. And whenever I run it, it uses that image. When my friend runs it, it uses the same. And now obviously if I go to this website, it's gonna hello world if everything's fine, because sci-fi is this works. So I think that is like one interesting thing about Modal, which is code becomes really shareable. And if I can run the Stable Diffusion model, why should you spend any time setting up a computer to run it? All you need is Modal, and that's it. Yeah.
Does it only run Python? Because let's say I want to run like llama.cpp. Can I run it on Modal?
Yes, you can. That's a great question, actually. So what's really happening is that we're provisioning a container for your Python code to run. So it is necessarily true that you have to write some Python. But your Python can literally be import subprocess, and then subprocess run your compiled llama CPP model. And that just works. And often, that's literally just what people want to do. We have people running like their compiled binaries. All that happens is they use Python to set up the, they use Python to set up the framework and everything, but at the end of the day, what happens is they import subprocess and make a subprocess call. So another cool thing about Modal is you can get GPUs really quickly. So here I can just request an A100, and when I save it, if I refresh this, that hello world will be printed by a container with a GPU on it. And you can see there's like an A100. And what's even cooler is if I specify it like this, I can get 4. So let's try go to here. And keep in mind, every time I refresh this page, Modal is launching a new container on the cloud for you to run your work on it. And you can see this one has 4 A100s. So you can do some crazy LLM stuff. You can fine tune like the biggest LLM model there is. And there's actually a guide to do that. So if you're interested, let me know. I wrote it like a couple days ago. Yeah, no question, no worries.
That looks very expensive. How is pricing calculated?
Yeah, so the pricing is like about $3 an hour for A100s, which is like the most premium GPU. It costs like $20,000 to buy one. So $3 an hour is reasonably price competitive with alternatives. But you also have to consider, like, because we're spinning these up and down for you so quickly, you actually save a lot of money in the long run compared to using something like RunPod or any other hosting service. Because for those, you're paying for the entire machine for the entire time you're setting everything up. Whereas in Modal, you only pay for the seconds that you're actually using it in the cloud. So overall, you're actually probably saving money for most use cases. Yeah, great questions. Did anyone else have any other questions? Yeah.
How many GPUs do you have like to give out? Because if we've got a couple hundred people here in the hackathon and a few of us use a bunch of GPUs each, is there danger of running out?
That's a great question. Currently, we provision our GPUs from all the major cloud providers. So AWS, GCP, Oracle Cloud, was probably going to go into Azure as well soon. So just imagine how annoying it is to even log into AWS. Like, my God, every day I need to log into AWS, it takes me like a minute, like an entire minute just to log in. And imagine how hard it is to set up the entire infrastructure in AWS, GCP, and Oracle. But that is all stuff that we wish no hackathon or no coder really ever has to do. And we've done all of that so that we won't run out of GPUs, right? If AWS can't give us any more GPUs, we can go to GCP and so on. So you don't have to worry about running out of GPUs. We can definitely take the hundreds of hackathons who need GPUs today, because we have the ability to provision thousands of them. Yes. Good question. Yeah, I was definitely a little underprepared for this workshop. I was hoping there would be like potentially questions like, check out this model. Do you think you can run it on Modal? And then we can see if we can run it in Modal. Is there like any model that people had in mind? That they wanted to run on Modal that they didn't want to run. Like I know some team wanted to run a particular model, but I forgot. Like Donut. Okay.
He's advertising for free. You can get him to do your hackathon project for
It's
you.
literally advertising for me to do your hackathon project for free. Yeah.
Can you try Falcon 180B?
Falcon 180B.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one. Okay, so let's figure this out. we're gonna have to go to Hugging Face because that's where the model is saved. So like, this is a gigantic model. Okay, I'm gonna accept using this model. So there are 81 files, and each of them are about 4.5 gigabytes. So this is a 364 gigabyte model. So this is a little challenging. I think that what's going to happen here is we need to download this and make sure it fits into our GPU. So we're probably going to provision 80 gigabyte. Let's provision 80 gigabyte. Okay, have you guys heard about quantization? So this model is about 360 gigabytes, but there is a way to load it in with, like, by reducing the precision of each of the weights. And if you reduce the precision enough, then you can fit it into less GPU memory. So that was like a bunch of random technical stuff, but let's try to do that. I think we can try to do it in about 10 minutes. So I think we have like a Falcon example here. But it's for the 40 billion block. So let's try new file. This is dangerous. Live demos are always dangerous. So we're gonna kind of replace all the 840s with 180 and hope that it works. And another thing that I'm gonna do here is this code will download the model and save it so that you can retrieve it anytime, but we only want to run it once. So we're just going to download it here instead. Okay, and then the other thing that I really need to change is instead of one A100, we need 4 80 gigabyte ones. And yeah, let's go for it. I think the majority of the time is going to be spent on downloading the model. Cool. Let's try it. I'm really curious if this is going to work. So we can kind of look at what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. So this is our dashboard. There's nothing really interesting going on here yet. But soon you can see there's an input, there's an execution code here. And it's pending because the model is still spitting up. And you're like, okay, shit. Okay, it looks like this is a gated repository, so I need to add a secret.
Are you gonna show us your secret?
I should already have it configured. It's really just my Hugging Face secret. Let's see if this works. You can go to the app log. So this is the failed one. Oh, it didn't work. Yeah. Wow, that's awkward. Falcon 100B. Oh, there's no construct model, right? Let's try that again. I'm just trying to figure out what the issue was. Oh, it's called Falcon 180B chat. Why would you change the name of it? An error occurred. Well. Falcon 180B. It's a capital B? Are you serious? Okay, this is super impromptu. Sorry about this. We can look at the code. It's basically just setting up all of these. This is the stuff that I was talking about. Like, we're setting up the image in our code so that when I send it to someone else to run, it will be exactly the same environment. And here what's happening is the enter method means load the model for me, please. Let's make sure everything is right. Okay, it's downloading the model. Fantastic. This just means load everything into the GPU for me, please. This is doing this load in 4-bit equals true thing. And the reason that's interesting is if you compress the model into 4 bits, it's 4 times smaller. You're losing accuracy because you can no longer have as many decimal points in your representation of the model. In fact, you don't even have any decimal points because this is a 4-bit integer now. So it's basically compressing all the weights of the model into 16 different values and using those instead for your computations. And this means, okay, please load it. Device mount order means, okay, use all the GPUs you want that are on this machine. And then the tokenizer, does anybody know what a tokenizer is? Sort of. So what happens when an LLM runs, what happens when an LLM runs is it converts the English language into tokens, which are literally just numbers between 1 and, say, 32,000. And the way it does that is, say like the word hello, that's going to be 1 token in a language. But maybe like, there's a really complicated word like penicillin. Maybe like pen would be a token, and then penicillin would be a separate token. So something like that. It's like breaking the English language down into parts of words. Those are now numbers which will be understood by our model, and our language model is just going to take the numbers and generate numbers which come after that sequence that it's learned. So it's learned, when I see these numbers in order, it's kind of likely I'll see these numbers in order. Then at the end of that, you're going to change those numbers back into the English language, and you're going to see the result. Why is it still down? So this is basically because Hugging Face is slow. There is a way to download it slightly faster, but let's have a look at how much progress we've made. It's kind of hard to read this, I feel. So this is doing a bunch of parallel downloads, but I can't really tell how many have been done yet. So I guess we just have to wait. 10 minutes. Is it going to finish in 10 minutes? I'm kind of worried I'm going to hit a timeout here.
So while it's happening, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So does Hugging Face offer a generative model? What's it doing from Hugging Face?
Hugging Face literally just is like a Google Drive for models. So it lets you download the model, and it has like a library in Python which lets you take those weights that you downloaded and do some computations on it, like in the model. Yeah.
So similar to like when you do a model.c against model.load.
Exactly, yeah. Hugging Face has their own interface for like saving and loading models. But I think the reason so many people use them and love them, I think they're a great product, is they host all the models in the cloud for us to download and upload free. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if this is going to finish in time, so I'm happy to like either let you guys go or answer specific questions. I don't want to hold everyone up before dinner. I don't know when dinner is.
No, it'll be soonish.
Soonish? Okay. Yeah, are there any last chance to ask me random questions that help you with your project? Okay, I think we can just call it wraps. If you want to see the result of this, you can stick around and just work. But
Does Modal have a challenge?
we're gonna have a challenge. Yeah, yeah.
Could you come up with one?
Can we do one? Or
Can you come up with one?
can I come up with a challenge?
Funsies?
Build a product which won't crash when it goes viral. Yeah, it's like a hidden challenge, you know. All these companies are like, if you use us, then you qualify for the challenge. But I would challenge people to set up a very load tolerant application without using us too. Or you can just use us and then your application will be load tolerant. Yeah. Cool. I guess we're just watching this go then. Yeah. It's nice to see all of your faces though. It makes me really happy to be here with Hack MIT. It's good memes from my freshman year. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, you guys are free to go, but I guess we're just like this. Is this like I have. I have that.
I'm kind of curious.
Should I?
Sorry? Is there an update on the